Now, if you're playing the movie on a telephone, you will never in a trillion years experience the film. You'll think you have experienced it, but you'll be cheated. It's such a sadness that you think you've seen a film on your fucking telephone. Get real.
David Lynch. An evocative name, for sure. A staple of every film kid who thinks saying they love his films makes them sound smarter. An icon of American surrealist film. An auteur to his bones who makes perhaps the most self-reflexive films of any other filmmaker. Or maybe even a total hack. Regardless of your opinions on Mr. Lynch, one thing that cannot be denied is his gift at crafting cohesive worlds full of striking imagery. You could list off any number of motifs found throughout Lynch's work, be it in his features, shorts, television, or industrial goth visual albums. Creeping, unexplainable dread, violence, deformity, 50s Americana, and musical numbers. Lynch has, like, a lot of musical numbers.
They're all part of 16 reasons why I love you.
But love me, break my faithful heart, tear it all apart. I'm going down to the sea. M-I-S-S-I-S-S-I-P.
Striking as any of his aesthetic fetishes, the one thing that has consistently stuck with me about Lynch's wide body of creation is his consistent use of the musical number. From his very first feature, Lynch has utilized the musical number to demonstrate some release from the hellish worlds of his films. The Lady in the Radiator of Eraserhead, Julie Cruz of Twin Peaks, Dorothy Valens of Blue Velvet, and the list goes on. Perhaps even more than his distinctive visuals, Lynch is lauded for his sound design. Films like Eraserhead and Mulholland Drive are made by their hypnotic, apocalyptic soundscapes. Lynch takes careful consideration into every sound in his films, and every moment of silence. I could be making a video on Eraserhead sound alone, but that isn't what this is about. Why this is important is the context in which Lynch includes his musical numbers as part of a broader oral scope. In films full of sordid and surreal characters, frightening violence and mutant babies, it might seem almost anachronistic to include these explicitly performative moments that are often evocative of 50s and 60s culture. Why so much focus on a pasty-faced woman with bulbous cheeks singing a creepy song? Why so much focus on a lounge singer? It's because Lynch, in simple terms, is fascinated with the idea of performance. Not just the way his actors literally perform, but how his characters put on shows for the other characters. Some of Lynch's films take place in our world, and some take place in a nightmarish approximation of the deepest and scariest parts of our subconscious. A short film, The Alphabet, made before Eraserhead, depicts an abstract and frightening performance of the ABCs. The letters come up on stop-motion painted frames over a random song being sung in the background, before the end of the film in which a creepy girl sings the ABC song. Not a musical number per se, but demonstrates Lynch's focus on performative aspects of his work. Another short, Rabbits, originally a part of his larger surreal masterwork, Inland Empire, depicts three people in normal clothes wearing rabbit heads as they go about their own surreal existence in an abstract allusion to sitcoms. Though it's a quiet, creeping work, not with a musical number, this idea of performance is perfectly exemplified by the rabbits, who live a completely meaningless existence in the facade of an apartment building. Throughout his work, especially in Blue Velvet and Twin Peaks, Lynch emphasizes the idea that each idyllic suburban town is writhing with insects and filth down below. Artifice. The 50s and 60s visual illusions Lynch so often puts into his work are not just his expressions for his love of that era of film, but are a broader commentary about the phony nature of these classic Hollywood studio pictures, filmmaking, and our world in general. There's always a performance, a distraction. You're never seeing what's really there. Mulholland Drive exemplifies this perfectly. Naomi Watts' character Betty, an aspiring actress, is the desired choice for a lead role by a shady group of unnamed gangsters. Unbeknownst to her, they pull the strings to get her the part. This means the other actresses and singers auditioning for the part are performing for no one, essentially. Their audition is completely fake. This is the dark underbelly of society rearing its head. But it's not entirely doom and gloom. Julie Cruz, who sings several haunting yet beautiful tunes in episodes of Twin Peaks, often comes after a period of uncertainty or terror. Her presence is largely a calming one, a healthy and needed escape from the intensity of Lynch's brand of surreal horror. Blue Velvet ends with the dark underbelly being overthrown and balance being restored to society, symbolized by a bird with an insect in its beak. This demonstrates that Lynch also sees positive power in performance, and that it can be a force for change. Henry Spencer, the protagonist of Eraserhead, has fantasies of the lady in the radiator who sings to him and dances around the stage, stomping on strange spermatozoon-esque things, a clear foreshadowing to Henry murdering his mutant child at the end of the film, almost as if she represents his subconscious telling him to express his darkest desire and to finally take action. So what does all this mean? To me, Lynch uses the musical number for different reasons contextually, but as a larger part of his cohesive film world. He uses them to draw attention to the escape that music brings from the scary world we live in, the facade of performance when you don't want to be yourself, and the dichotomy between the world we see and the one we don't. Lynch loves to cast musicians in his film as well, further blurring the lines between the world of music and the world of film. And I think he just likes musical interludes.